The destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
One, yes, you already know what it is. We've been very anime heavy lately, but I'm not sad about it.
It's okay.
It's pretty good.
It's leading to possible future stuff.
Oh,
Aha.
I see you. Anyway, I'm Joelle Monique.
Hey, my name is Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. I was gonna say, wait, did you say where people find you?
They know. We'll talk about it at the end. I want to get into this interview.
Okay. But yes, where can they find you, our special guest?
Who, me?
Yeah,
you.
Wait, I'm only your second guest?
You're only our second guest.
This is... Oh, that's so cool.
You're followed by the
It's
voice
very
of,
cool.
you're
So
followed
what
by the voice of Porky Pig, Bob Bergen.
He's amazing.
Who is wonderful.
But he probably didn't have to sit on a booster seat like I did.
He did not have
You
to
guys,
sit on a
I'm
booster
so
seat.
short. I'm sitting literally on a booster seat.
It's okay.
It's like a child seat. Oh, hi. Sorry.
You mean you get
You're
extra
doing
cushion?
it. It's good.
I digressed. Where can they find me?
Yeah, where they find you
On the
online?
internet.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TaraSansLA, and it's spelled like it sounds.
Cool.
It's
That's
not
it.
tricky, guys.
That's why I changed it a long time ago.
No,
Oh my
that's
gosh,
smart.
can
Make
you
it
reveal
easy.
the secret? What was it before?
It was spelled. It's a long story. It was very hard to spell.
Fascinating.
You can do Google research and find it easily. It's not a secret. I just don't want to bore you with that kind of information right now.
All right, well, let's get right into it. When did you find yourself starting to play with your voice?
Always. Like my first sentences, I was imitating commercials.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wasn't being paid for it then. So I guess I sort of, and I was a talker. I mean, I never shut up. I had detention a lot for talking. And then I was singing as well. And then in high school, I was singing in a local competition at like the Y, and
Cute.
and like a talent manager was there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was crazy. And then the first audition they sent me on was for a voiceover for
Nice.
a commercial, and I had to say something like, "Ooh, gross, a wart," and for Compound W, and I booked that job. And I was like, "What?
Awesome.
This is no." And my mom was like, "You're getting paid for? Are you joking?" And yeah, and I was like, "I can't believe this is a job I could have. I want to do that." Yeah, so I started young, and being a singer, you were always manipulating your voice, and yeah, I just never, and it was even more years before I realized cartoons were something that I could do. Like it just, again, and I was in New York, and weren't as many cartoon opportunities. Even I was lucky enough to do some there, but yeah, I'm just always talking funny. And
So when do you make your way out to LA?
I moved here about 10 years ago. I was hosting a TV show on Cartoon Network called Fridays,
Yeah.
where I got to interview, like, it's so weird I hate, not that I'm not enjoying this, but all I want to do is ask you guys questions. So I used to host this TV show where I got to interview people on Cartoon Network. So when I was doing that, it was easier to live here, even though we shot in Atlanta, and I was back and forth a
Flights
bunch.
to Atlanta from LA is just it's easy.
pretty
and
easy.
Standard. You know, you're not doing a lot of layovers or anything. Both are hub cities.
They're Delta Hub. I used to
already
call
know.
myself tri-coastal because I was like New York, Atlanta, and LA.
Not bad
It
spots.
just made me feel cool. Yeah, I really barely, but
So, okay, you're starting to get into voice acting. You're booking commercials, which are typically pretty short. Like, you're not recording a commercial for more than
by
like...
Coke. Yeah, it was quick. I was in the booth for less than an hour usually.
So as you started getting into, like, feature films and stuff, especially where you're doing a lot of dubbing, which is much more complicated than, like...
different.
This
Yeah.
is my
Labor
own-
intensive.
Yeah. Because, well, walk us through that. Like, what makes dubbing more labor-intensive than, just recording your voice?
Well, for one, a commercial, you've usually auditioned and they've chosen you for whatever you've done. And so if it's a 30-second spot, they kind of know what they want you to do. And a lot of commercial actors have trouble, I think, moving over to longer form stuff because they're used to just the instant gratification and the quick sessions. So my first intro to longer form stuff was audiobooks. I started working in audiobooks, and I'd be
That's a long
I'd be in the studio for days, and but I loved it. I mean, like literally, the minute I put on any headphones, I have a flashback to, and I'm in headphones most of the day, every day, but I always, almost always, have a flashback to the "We Are the World" video, and they're like. And I just want to do that. Like, there's something cool about that. Like, and I know, like, even, like, my cousin's kids will come over, or my friend's kids, and the first thing they want to do when they come into my booth is put on the headphones. And there's something about that motion or that thing that kind of gets me, I don't want to say into character, but into work mode, into job mode.
Sure.
I don't know what I was talking
like
about.
putting on your helmet.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that.
It is. It's like
You're buckling in.
Yeah. And I don't have equipment. It's not like I have a costume for voiceover. So, you know, when I would do theater work or, you know, I had a costume. I have no idea how I transitioned into what we're talking about. You asked me a good question.
I have a question about
long
audiobooks.
form. Yeah.
What was your favorite audiobook to do and why?
Oh, God. There's so many good ones. I love I do a series called Sammy Keys.
Yeah.
And I've been working on it for like 20 years now. Wow. We've done I think we've done 16 books, and the series is over. We're a little bit behind in the audio. But to have I got to watch the character change. I heard my own voice change during that time, which is weird because I'll go back and be like, I have to, okay, what did I sound like? And try to pitch it. And that's not just like it's not a 30-second commercial. It's a 6-hour book where my voice is like this the entire, you know, sustaining it or sustaining a Southern accent as the narrator. So those are long sessions. And I think some people, like you were asking about dubbing, like those, not only are you worried about the voice and your performance, but you're worried about matching some lip flap that was done in a language that doesn't necessarily correlate timing wise with what you're saying. So there's a lot of time for rewrites. It's just a different kind of
Are they often rewriting while you're in the booth?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It's not all the time. And it really depends. Certain shows are great and the writers are awesome about writing the timing to the flap. Or like sometimes you get really lucky, like I've had a couple shows where you don't see the character's mouth. Like, they're always in a mask.
So nice, yeah.
And when I get there, I'm like, yes, score, because you don't have to be... And then you can think about the performance more.
Sure. With that, do you ever get input on suggesting a word if like something doesn't work? And if they're writing on the spot, can you be like, can we try this instead?
It depends who it is, but for the most part, if it's like, if the sentence is, I can't wait to get to our destination... I can say, hey, can we just uncontract this? I think it's going to fit better. Or I could, you know, I'm not shy. I'm sure there's actors who are. And again, if it's my first time working with someone, I'll probably shut my big mouth. But again, they're not usually the people who wrote it, so they're not as attached.
Oh, sure.
By the time it gets to me, it's been through a translator where it's just like a loose translation for like Japanese anime, if we're talking about that. So first, it's a direct translation, from what I understand. And then it gets to a writer who's more really micromanaging the flap and all that. And then it gets to me and a director. So I'm not dealing with someone who's like, this is their baby and I'm asking to like change. Yeah. And again, we're really careful too, because it's already been translated. So you're already losing a little bit of maybe the meaning, you know, maybe it was a joke in Japan that doesn't translate to our culture, so we're trying to write a different joke. I mean, it gets tricky, yeah. And then that's why the fans kind of, you know, I know there's fans that prefer to watch a subtitled version, because so we just try to make them happy, stay as true to the script as we can, and not mess it all up.
I mean, obviously your bread and butter is dubs, but do you have a preference of subs versus dubs?
I love working with a group. So, subs versus to watch. Reading is so hard. No,
when you're tired, I totally late at night or while you're eating, and then you're like, wait, what?
I just hear people in the comments section. Reading is so hard.
No. If I'm multitasking, there's no way I can watch.
Eating and tired, those are two where I'm like, oh, subtitles are a little tricky at those moments.
And I'm a multitasker, so I do like the dubs, but I think that's also I like the dubs if I'm watching for enjoyment, or to see my friends. But if what did I say? I like the dubs better for that. And subtitles, if I'm researching, that's great. Like if I know that I'm going in to join a show, it's kind of fun to watch the original and see.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah, to watch some scenes
ahead of time. And I mean, I know the director would probably adjust you later on, but if you are able to research like that, how much are you trying to match your performance to the previous original language performance?
See, I don't usually find that out till I get there.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the first questions I ask when I get to an anime job. I say, how close to the original do they want this? Because they tend to have their young boy voices tend to sound very different than ours. How high pitched a lot of their female characters are. It's just our ears are not as used to that. So I say, like, how close do you want it to this?
Sure.
Sometimes, like, you can just hear. I mean, I dubbed something recently that was done with Australian voices, and they just wanted to do it with American voices for kids. And I thought that was the craziest thing because I was dubbing from English. It was so weird.
Was there a lot of slang? Maybe
there was. No, there was. There's a lot of like Australian, or it might have been British. I can't remember if it was British. I thought it was Australian. It could have been British now that I'm thinking about it. It was a while ago, but it wasn't that long ago. I'm lying. I just forget things. But it was English to English. But at least the flap wise, we were pretty good.
Yeah.
But then sometimes like I would be like, well, do I want to copy her performance? That was good. I liked what she did there. Like, but then then it's weird because you don't. But if it worked. And then it's true to the show. So it's a weird call sometimes.
So in One Punch Man, you play Kombu Infinity, which is one of the first like monster creatures that we see. And there's like a pretty distinct difference in that performance versus the original. I don't even know if it's 100% because of your performance or because they do so much post to your voice in that. It's like layered. It's kind of got like an echoey sound to it.
And they don't that's stuff that I don't even know going in.
Oh, wow, okay.
That was one of those jobs that was before One Punch came out here. And I remember dubbing it going, this show is so weird. I'm like, but I said that about Pokemon when I first worked on it. I'm like, who's going to watch this? So what do I know? But again, I didn't know. I just watched something back the other day. I was going to like use a snippet of something for a demo. And I go, oh, wait, they totally tweaked my voice. I can't use this. So yeah, I just did what they told me. They said, do the voice like I forgot they referenced something else I had done and said, we want it to sound like similar pitch to this. And then they went and played with it, which is cool. I mean, it's fun to watch back, but it's...
Is it because I know, like, I have some actor friends who, like, if they... Even though see a film of theirs where they feel like maybe the edits don't work, they're like, you know, we developed the character and you used a take where we didn't have, you know, that motivation there.
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all to hear it? Or you're like, I put so much work into this performance and now it's been altered.
Well, the lucky thing about that is the performance stays. It's really the tone that changes, but I don't love it. I'll be honest, because there was one. There have been a few shows where they would pitch me up or down a little bit, and they didn't. And I could have done it, like where it was the kind of case where I was like, oh, I could have done that, but it had been figured out in post. So what happens sometimes is they'll get all the characters finally together, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, this one sounds a little too much. Like this one looks pitches. So it's really out of my hands, and I could get upset. I mean, I understand why it would bug someone. I don't want to get too. I may always make jokes. Like I remember, like one time I was in something like, we're gonna put some effects. I'm like, don't you mess with my voice. You know, but no, I mean, if it serves the show, I'm there to serve the show.
How difficult is it to dial your voice to different tones? Like you made the example of, you know, them saying, do like this character. How easy can you slip into a particular voice?
Now it's easy. It took me a while to get there. It's just trust. It's trusting your voice. It's like sometimes they'll say like, hey, do you want to start with the higher pitch character or the lower pitch character? Just because sometimes placement is a little weird. And just staying, you know, like luckily if you're playing two characters in a show, it's always easier to do one at a time. But I've done it where I've switched back and forth. Sometimes they talk to each other, and there's like kind of nothing more fun than that. Like that to me, I think it was Hank Azaria I heard talking about that recently. And it is, I mean, it's so cool. It's probably egotistical. I'm like, that's me and that's me. But it's cool. Some, you know, especially if you don't recognize, like there's been times I didn't recognize my voice, and that was really fun. But that's just a weird job I have, so.
Is there a character where you feel like you have it? Like, can you remember the character where you couldn't didn't recognize your voice?
It happened recently where something played back. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I was just watching. I was putting together a demo, and I started watching a video game I worked on. What was it? I don't know. It wasn't the Fire Emblem games, but that was some of them where I pitched my voice down, and it's really sexy, and I'm like, wait, is it me? Oh yeah. And then there was another game called Popolo Croix where I played a little girl, and there's a ton of little girls in it, and I was like, wait, which one is me? And I didn't want to put someone else's voice on my demo,
yeah.
but it was a little hard to tell. So if I can't, like, or I've been sent clips by fans and like, hey, did you play this role in this show? And there's times when I'm like, I don't know.
No. I'm not sure.
I don't think, or usually, if I don't know, I'll usually say I don't think that was me.
So you were telling us a little bit before the show started that I was like, oh my gosh, you're also on One Piece.
Oh yeah.
And then you were like, oh, that's not even a good one. So tell us a little bit about this.
No. Okay, so I did the 4Kids One Piece, which was a long time ago. And it was before social media. It was before all of this. And I didn't know that it was hated so much until I started doing conventions a few years ago. And again, I am not sensitive. Like I didn't make the show. I didn't write the show. Like
You're like, I just worked there.
I did the best job I could with what I did. And I started getting all these questions at panels, like, what does it feel like to be on the One Piece that everyone hates? And
Oh my God.
And they would tell me how good the other one was. And I was like, well, I didn't know. But I'm very sorry you didn't like it. It was a cartoon made for children. Like,
so this is the edited one. Like they take a lot of the original stuff out.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the Sailor Moon argument where people were really upset at the original Sailor Moon that aired in the United States because, you know, like we had lesbians and you took them from us. How dare you? That's just me.
No, especially if you had watched the original. And it's weird then. It's like when you watch your favorite movie edited on like
TNT or
TBS
something, yeah.
and all the curses are gone or it's weird.
You're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
When Samuel Jackson is saying Mother Trucker, I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that man curses. I know it.
But sometimes it's funnier, like
That is funny, though.
yeah, see, that's funny. Like, I think, who was it?
could laugh
Seth
at it.
Rogen wanted to do all of his dubbing for, I think, Pineapple Express, so he could write the funny words that they put in place. And I was like, everyone should do that. Then he's guaranteeing it's ridiculous. And they said ridiculous
I
things.
bet. Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah, but I get, if you're close to a show and you know it, like, I think a big argument with One Piece was, like, they took the gun out, they made it a lollipop or something like, but again,
It's for children.
it was for it wasn't, that's what I
It's
say. I'm like,
literally
it
called
wasn't
for kids.
I'm like, it
guys.
was not for you. Like, that show is not made for you. You were 47 watching that show. Like, and I get it. But the truth was that for me, what I thought was cool about that period of time when it was the 4Kids ruled that Saturday morning with the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, all those great shows, they were this great gateway anime for kids who didn't know
totally.
anything about anime. So to me, if One Piece got some kid to love anime, I'm sorry if you don't like it. Like, and now I think it's awesome because we have all these different versions of things. So if you didn't like that one, you can watch the other One Piece, which I hear is amazing.
It's soups good.
Yeah, I will. It's on my list. And Sailor, there's different. They're redoing and remaking, and so there's a version for everybody. And if someone wants to take their time to hate it, like,
Hate watching can
You
be a
have
form
something-
of entertainment too. As my brother watched some ice skating with me the other day. He didn't like it. I
Right.
was loving it. But he got entertainment out of laughing at the girls when they fell. It's not for everybody.
You
but
find
sometimes you need that
what you
energy.
love in it.
Exactly. And I feel like, especially for parents who are like really amped about like the 4Kids version might be a really great way to introduce like your 2-year-old to it.
Exactly.
And then maybe like when they're 10, 12, you can introduce them to the other one.
Totally, yeah.
What were your gateway anime shows?
The one that I worked on that made me like anime was Slayers. I don't know if you like that. It's an older one, but to me that was the first one that was like, because I worked on Pokemon. Was the first anime I ever worked on. I didn't know what. I mean, I kind of knew what anime was, and I knew that
thing over there.
Well, kind of. I mean, we'd go to underground video stores to get that was our way to get stuff.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, I mean,
Classics.
it's old school, so it just wasn't readily available to me. And I knew like Speed Racer, that was. So even though Pokemon was awesome to work on, it wasn't what I would have sat down to watch. So a show like Slayers, a show like, I'm trying to think what else anything Ghibli, but that was later that I started watching that kind of stuff. That's more what spoke to me. And when I was like, oh, okay, now I get why I understood why kids like certain things, but there were certain shows that then I started understanding why.
When I found
the
Lupin the
grown-ups were
Third, I
watching.
was like, oh my god! Or Cowboy Bebop also is
That's
like
a great gateway. I always call that a gateway anime. Like there's
especially for Americans, because it's got a very American kind of tone to it. And that music, I was gonna say,
and the actors are so good. Yeah,
they're truly brilliant.
Oh yeah, Slayers. I do remember Slayers.
I want to talk Netflix a little bit because you've done 2 shows with them. The first being Little Witch Academia, which yes, so good. We play Woodward, who is maybe the most adorable / beautiful creature ever.
She's very ethereal.
She is.
I didn't know what role I was doing when I walked in. They're like, "Oh, we're going to use your soft voice." I was like, "Oh, really? Oh my god!" Like I for so long I was playing little girls and boys that it was really fun to do that, and that was one of the shows where a lot of the other actors had recorded before me.
Oh.
Which is always a treat. I always say in anime, like, if you're the first one to record an episode, you have no one to play off of. Mm. It's a much harder job. Mm-hmm. That was when I got lucky, and a lot of it was already done. So I actually got to hear, it was like having an actual conversation. It was so nice. And what a cool show. So yes, thank you, Netflix, for bringing that to America.
But you also then did Disjointed, where you play Sadie, who is a pot plant.
I play talking marijuana.
I love Sadie.
You saw it?
Oh, no, dude. When Disjointed came out, I was like, first of all,
I could talk about Disjointed all day.
Netflix, with their marketing campaign, when they were like, we're just releasing strains of weed, I was like, what? This is amazing.
Did you go to the pop-up shop?
I did. Like, I'm like kind of
I
obsessed
love
with
you.
the show.
Okay.
And the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm name blanking so hard.
Oh,
the woman that leads the show.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates is on TV as a crazy pot-smoking grandma. Like, that's all you need to know about the show.
I mean,
she's marvelous.
I don't have enough nice words to say about her. Like, she was, I don't get too starstruck. That one, that did it.
Were you on set for that?
I got to be on set. That was the coolest thing. That was so cool.
So were you then reacting to them in the show?
It depends. On different episodes, it was done differently. Sometimes we pre-recorded, but I would just hang out anyway.
Oh yeah,
fun.
First of all, set when you don't have to do anything, it's great.
Oh, I mean,
it's so there's just food and everything to watch.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Live TV.
And everyone on that show. So new episodes start this Friday. There's 10 more episodes. Sadie returns for one episode.
Oh!
Sadie's episode 5, you can hear me sing a little bit, but I would go to tapings and just hang out because the cast was lovely. For a lot of them, that was one of their first big shows, and they were just kind, and someone like Kathy Bates sets a tone, like the same way with any show, with being here, with being, someone sets a tone, and she is a magical unicorn. Yeah. And then to see her, there's a scene this season where she says something like, you can't handle being this high or something. I don't remember what it was, but she had broken her foot or something with her ankle that weekend. I had a brace on and was on painkillers and was in pain, and this scene was the best thing you've ever seen. The whole audience stood up and applauded after.
Aww.
I mean, it was... I could talk all day about it. But yes, I got to play marijuana plants, and I'm very proud of that.
That's amazing. So there are actually some animated portions within the show, which are almost my favorite part of the show, which I'm not to discredit anything that's happening like on camera, but these animated portions are so like cool. They're almost Schoolhouse Rock in style.
Yeah. With
all kinds of wild content. Like everyone gets
so bizarre,
brain like animated thought at some point. Would you return to maybe do one of those at some point?
I would return to do anything they want me to do on that show. I've made that very clear. Usually the animation doesn't have a ton of, I know one of Carter's first ones did, but there's not a lot of dialogue in the animation. But what I think was really smart that they did, that I would love other shows to kind of do, is they hired a different animation studio for every week, so that nothing looked the same. It wasn't, and I think that's like a kind of a cool idea in animation in general, to mix up who's doing it? Like, I would love to see another studio's version of The Simpsons, or, it would be kind of fun to see something like that.
They had a Dante's Inferno movie, and each level of hell was a different style of animation.
Oh, that's cool. See, that I would love to see.
That's a really good
I think
movie.
it was all different anime, too. But they're all very different for each, like, when he gets down. You're like, wow. Because then you're just like, this is exciting to see a new style.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I should write down to watch that.
Secretly, I'm a huge Barbie animated movie fan. Like, literally no one knows this. This is my confession.
Oh, God. This is like a support group for you now.
I can look at Carrie's judging.
No, not Barbie, but I've watched all the Tinkerbell movies, and I really like the Tinkerbell
See, okay,
movies.
that's
good
fun.
stuff.
They're really adorable.
Yes.
Stuff made for 2-year-olds is amazing. Like, it's like taking, like, a Klonopin. It's just like, and I'm zoned out. Like, I don't need to worry anymore.
I can't. You just compared Tinkerbell to a Klonopin.
I did.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. That is so... Wow. I might have to use that on something.
I mean, I will say they did get better as I went along. Like, the first one was like, but like, by I think it's like the Sacred Beast or whatever, like the last one, you're just like, all the feels.
Well, okay.
Have you ever had a pet or anything?
I honestly feel like writers get, like, more vested. Like, the first one's like a paycheck. Yeah. They're like, here is...
Yeah,
and
or they're just figuring it out.
Yeah,
that's a lot of it.
They're like, what tone are we going
let's keep it safe and see what people respond to. Yeah, for
and by
sure.
the third time when you're invested in characters and they've made choices that you've lived with and are vested in, they get really great. And Barbie is no different. Barbie is a fairy at one point. She's a mermaid in another movie.
My gosh.
I worked at a children's hair salon.
She could do anything, that Barbie.
She surely can.
I'm so sick of her. She's so good at everything.
You played Summer in Dream House.
I did.
What is it like to be the voice that all little girls want to grow up to be?
Oh my gosh. I actually, someone from Disjointed was just tweeting about Barbie Life in the Dream House. And I was like, I'm Summer on that. And she's like, you're so cool. I'm like, but you're Jenny on Disjointed. Hi, Liz. I loved working on it. Also, that was an example, because it was an anime, of new records. So we got to, a lot of those episodes, we got to record together, which I think makes a big difference sometimes in just the character connection and all of that stuff, everything making sense. So that's why I love that show. And I feel like Dreamhouse works for kids, it works for adults, it works. I tell a lot of my friends, like, okay, I know this is going to sound weird, but if your daughter wants to watch something, like, this is something you won't get mad at her having on. Like, I always think that's like a good example of something that parents can watch with them and not want to kill themselves.
Truly.
Yeah, there's some kid stuff that's just hard.
Oh, it's
really
like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Teletubbies was, like, so mind-numbing. I was like, I can't. We have to have some kind of engagement here, children.
Just like Care Bears was for kids, but it was smart.
Also, Carrie's had a legitimate villain, and I can get behind any show with a real villain.
Who's the villain on Teletubbies?
There was no villain. They were just running up a hill, and then Baby Son came out.
That's a good, maybe we could write that. That's a
new one,
The villain of Teletubbies. The villain would be me. I would be very violent.
You would be killing all of the Teletubbies.
Yes. Speaking of killing, maiming, and otherwise crushing people, Celebrity Deathmatch was one of my favorite shows of all time. When they brought it back, I had, like, this bittersweet moment of, like, this is not enough like the originals, but it's still Celebrity Deathmatch, and it's great. You play Hillary Duff, who is amazing.
I did a few episodes of that show. That might have been my first cartoon job after, like, of non-anime, actually.
Wow.
MTV.
And then it moved to, like, MTV2 or something. I love that show so much. I mean, that was and just like the stuff that you would get, like, you would do all your lines, and then you would just have to do random, like, screeching and hair pulling and crazy, like, attack. I mean, it was like a video game in that way, where you were just recording all these exertions and efforts. And then sometimes you'd be there. I remember there was one, I don't remember which role I was recording. It might have been when I did Alyssa Milano. I don't remember which episode was which, but they were like, "Oh, can you be one of David Copperfield's sexy girlfriends?" I'm like, "Yeah,
yes, of course."
Yeah, so I ended up, like, you would end up just playing random things. And Eric Vogel, who I think, I want to make sure I'm saying his name right, Eric Vogel? I don't know, look it up. I'm working on a show now called Food Truckers, and he's writing a bunch of those episodes, and that's so cool to me because I'm such a fan of his stuff. So that made me really happy.
So in doing voices for real people, how did you go about getting that voice?
Oh,
like, Hillary Duff is a person we know. Did you go, like, watch
I tried.
Okay.
I mean,
Watching Lizzie McGuire or something. You know?
Yeah, like I think for some of those they sent some sound samples.
Oh, okay, then that's good.
But
Makes it
I
easier.
am not like I look at that stuff and I go, I don't sound anything like her. But I think that's sometimes
Oh,
the
okay.
fun of that show.
Is that they don't?
Totally
Sure.
is that it's a wild interpretation.
I am
of-
not a mimic. Yeah.
No, it's like a wild interpretation of a celebrity personality. That's what made it great because wrestling is all personalities. Like it's all just
Totally.
these
Yeah.
wild kind of crazy distinct voices. So then to apply that over a celebrity who already have like a lot of thoughts about and kind of can love but also hate them because they have money and they're
Right.
like gorgeous. It just works, and then you can see them beat the crap out of each other. Like
It's so satisfying,
it
right?
really genuinely is, especially if there's when they pick celebrities that have actual drama with each other. When you're like, I want to
Yeah.
know who like an artist interpretation of who would
Well,
win.
and it's funny too because the roles that I did Hillary Duff, Alyssa Milano. I think I played Natalie Maines because I was one of the Dixie Chicks at some point.
That's amazing.
And and those are three people who don't have weird or distinct voices. Mm-hmm. There's like it wasn't like
Guilford
playing
Godfrey
Rosie
or
O'Donnell
something.
or
Yeah.
like Rosie Perez or someone with an accent. So they had very normal voices, which are the hardest to imitate actually. So, I didn't go too crazy, but
Did any of those people ever be like, hey?
I was just gonna say.
Oh my
so-
God, yes.
No, I mean they never looked me up, but I was sitting behind Alyssa Milano at a movie theater once, and I so badly wanted to say something. First of all, because I'm just a fan, like I just think she's cool.
I'm currently rewatching Charmed. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
she's
am too.
awesome,
So in
and I
sync.
love her Twitter. I'm impressed with her Twitter feed, everything. But this
Yeah.
was years ago, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sitting behind her, and I'm like, I don't want to bother her. But I want to tell her I played her on
Yeah.
Celebrity
Deathmatch.
Deathmatch because I feel like that's like kind of an okay, and I totally chickened out.
You need to tweet at her.
Maybe, but what if she hated it?
There's a lot of
Look,
things
you
that
don't
she
see
would-
Trump inviting Alec Baldwin to the White House.
But Trump is a giant baby.
No, totally
Like, I feel
joking.
like Alyssa Milano has a sense of humor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
hopefully.
She's
She'd be
funny.
totally. I'm sure she'd be totally fine.
You're like,
I bet she
"So,
never
this
even
show."
watched it. Like
Yeah.
who knows if she
But
ever
she's
even
like,
That's
what
true.
is Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yeah.
I was at the cusp of my career.
But I
at this
don't
point.
think she won. Is the thing
Oh,
because
that
it
could be
was
tricky.
her versus Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I have to rewatch it. But
Oh my God, what
I'd be
an
pissed
odd
if I didn't
pairing.
win on because they were both witches.
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker.
It's
versus-
clever.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so if it's Sarah Jessica Parker versus Piper. No.
No.
Prue? No, other one.
Not Sarah Jessica Parker.
I got all of the names
Yeah,
wrong
I'm
just
like,
now.
no.
Yeah,
There's
wait.
only got one name that I got.
Melissa Joan Hart. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
that's
they are
interesting.
remaking Sabrina the Teenage
They
Witch.
are with my
That's like-
girl Shipka.
Yes, I love her.
from Mad Men.
Her
She is
voice, her name
great.
sounds like a curse, but I love it.
does.
Yeah.
But she also her eyes feel like they're constantly cursing you. Like she's got the most intense
awesome.
eyes. And her reaction.
This water is Shipka.
subtleness.
Just kidding.
I wanted to ask you. So you've been on like a ton of iconic shows. You played like Bulbasaur on Pokemon for crying out loud. But they're
Still makes me laugh. I don't know why.
But there are a ton of like animated shows that are kind of like legend at this point. Like you mentioned, The Simpsons, American Dad is a personal favorite.
good.
There's it's SpongeBob. Like, is there a show that you're like, man, I gotta get on it?
Yes. South Park.
Wow.
I
yes!
mean, that's my to
then you
me.
can use your trucker mouth there. Yes.
I could, Matt, Trey. If you're, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty tight knit group over there. I don't know how I would possibly infiltrate that, but I did enter the contest. They were not lying. I entered a contest recently on that site where you can like enter to like have a walk on, and I never do any of that stuff. But it's a charity. And so for every like $10 you donate or something, you get an entry to have you yourself animated in a South Park episode and visit the studios. And I was like, yeah, I'll enter that.
I
You're like,
really
here's
hope
a
you
few
win.
entries.
Because like that's what I geek out over, man. Like, and seeing how fast they work, I would just I would love to be in a fly on the wall there. They're just geniuses.
Totally. I would like to see you play a gem on Steven Universe.
Oh,
I think that would be really cool.
let's make it happen.
Because you know, in order to be a gem, you have to be able to both sing and do, you know, the crazy vocal performances. And if you got to be a diamond, you could use your little sultry voice, which would
That
be
would
fun
be
for you. Get away from the
fun.
kid stuff.
Well, 2018. Those are the two new goals. I love it.
You were telling us JoJo's Bizarre Adventures.
So weird.
So this is a show that just
You
came
watch
out-
it, you're weird. Not kidding.
I've read the first manga and I was like, this
It's really violent.
Weird.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell us about it. I don't know the story.
Well, so I don't know. I'll be completely honest. I didn't know a ton about it until I worked on these 2 episodes. One aired last week, one's airing this week. And it's apparently like the most disturbing arc to people.
Ooh.
And I play a baby who is also a stand, which means he has another form that he fights in. But I'm an evil baby.
That's amazing.
That they totally get back at. I don't want to give away too much, but like you're allowed to hate this baby. Like I
feel like that's gonna be so cathartic for some people.
Right? Well, that's the thing. It's like, kick that baby. He's evil. I mean, he's a terrible, terrible baby. But I didn't know any of this. All I knew going in was that it was going to be vocally strenuous, which was really nice that they gave me a heads up. I did not know how disgusting it was going to be. Like, I almost puked.
And what do you mean by vocally strenuous for this
A lot of
particular
yelling,
case?
a lot of crying. Jojo in general, actors are usually told in advance that they can, if they want to turn it down, it's going to be a vocally strenuous booking. Which is we're so appreciative when someone tells us that. Because what I'll try to do then is not have something lined up for early the next morning, give myself time to rest. Or if it's something I don't care about, I don't know if I've ever said no. But I definitely wasn't told that I was going to almost puke in the booth. It was
Is it from the
disgusting.
things you were saying?
From things I'm saying, there's one moment that will happen on Saturday night on Toonami that I again apologize in advance for. I apologized in advance of the episode airing the other day. Luckily, this baby is only in 2 episodes, but yeah, it is creepy. Like, and I thought One Punch was weird, but this is
JoJo's. It is bizarre.
It's bizarre.
At Anime Expo, they had a T-shirt that says, "Do you even know how to pose?" Or like, "Do you even pose?" Like the "Do you even lift?" They had the "Do you even pose?"
See,
and I was like, "That's actually."
Did you get it?
Well, I've read some of it.
No,
Yeah,
did you get the
Get the
T-shirt?
shirt. Did you
No.
purchase it?
You
Next
probably just
time.
took a picture of it, which
Yeah,
is the
I
same
did.
thing
I
now.
was like,
Now you can just take a
okay,
picture of stuff, and it's like,
No, I wasn't enough into it that I'm like, I'm gonna buy it, but I appreciated
It's not your
walking
thing.
by and was like, all right.
I get the joke. Yeah.
So
It's not my favorite style of art.
It's violent for me too. Like
No, I don't mind the violence. I just don't like this.
It's not your
art
aesthetic.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that of like
Whoa,
anime and
I
different
almost
styles.
just broke everything.
Are you more of a shoujo or shonen fan, like visually? Do you know what those are?
No.
It's okay.
I should. I'm the
No, it's
Okay.
fine. I mean, I don't think people often always say that. So, like, shoujo is very more like the girly and pretty and flowers, around High School Host Club,
tears,
Sailor
crying,
Moon,
yeah.
any of those like cutesy
Yeah.
things. And then shonen is more like the fighting stuff, like One Punch and Dragon Ball Z and stuff.
Huh.
But even within those, there's so many
I was
variations.
gonna say, like, I loved the way Little Witch Academia looked. It's almost sort of in the middle, I would think.
they're a little bit. They're a little bit different. And
Yeah. They've got
themselves,
an American style of like almost.
Yeah.
Is
where
that what
it's
it is?
like-
Maybe.
Like,
Maybe
I
it's
don't
just
mean
like
to say
American.
that it is American. I mean
No,
to say
but
that
it's-
it's like
it's
a cross.
different,
It meets that
yeah.
middle ground, just like what's the other one on Netflix? Neo Yokio, which has like a Japanese aesthetic, but like kind of a more flat American style. I think.
Yeah, I really liked the way that looked. I mean, again, I don't always know. I'm not savvy enough to know what I'm looking at. I just know if
like
I like
their
it or not.
eyes sparkle and stuff like that. And if you go really
See,
far
I like that in
but-
small doses, but I think
funny.
I would get cuted out. But
Totally hear that.
like I worked on Glitter Force, which is really fun to work on. But I don't know, like, if I could watch that, like, binge it because of like
Yeah.
all the magical craziness.
I wanted to ask you. You've been doing conventions and things, and paneling and stuff, which Carrie and I know a lot about. Is there a show you like paneling for the most? Is there a show with like just
Oh.
an amazing fan base that you're like
Yeah.
more of
Gosh.
these people?
Well, there's one thing I do at convention. I do a Pokemon trivia contest.
Wow.
Which is so much because there's no one more diehard than those because they grew up with it, and it's really cool to meet them as grown-ups now and hear, because I was working on it as a young adult, so I wasn't taking away the same life lessons that these kids were. Like hopefully I'd already learned some of them, but when you see how that shapes them and they tell you how this show affected their lives and what they learned about friendship, and I mean really beautiful stories that you hear. But my favorite thing is to do the Pokemon trivia contest because I can't believe what these people know. Like, I have some that are easy questions, and then I go to the really hard ones. And I look at these guys, I'm like, did you do homework? Like, is this all you did? They've watched so that to me is so much fun to see these people answer these crazy questions.
So, serious question. Pikachu speaking, how do you feel about that?
I heard about it.
Did you see it?
I saw that trailer. I mean, yeah, I don't
clip?
know much more
Just
about
the clip where you see it say
But
something.
did you see the one where they did the Danny DeVito dub?
No. Oh, I have to look that up.
Engineer, if we could please end with that, is the Danny DeVito
that's a
dub
great
of
idea.
Pikachu speaking. It's literally the best thing ever. Sorry, go ahead.
So, what did
really
you think of it? Thoughts?
I think I think if it's just going to depend how it's done. If it's a great,
Good point.
If it's a great movie, you just sort of it's also about how soon you're just immersed in that world of it. There's going to be people that have decided to hate it. I haven't decided to do that yet. I'm going to wait and see. Because he's spoken before. I mean, there was one. It was like a
What's up?
yeah. Gosh.
I mean, obviously you've worked on the show.
Well,
so
it was the
you
new
have the inside
new
scoop.
cast worked on it.
Okay.
We were replaced after like 9 seasons. There was like it's a long story, but the company got bought, so we all worked on like the first 8 or 9, and then it was a new cast. But there was one. I'll tweet it at you guys. But there was an incident where Pikachu did have a low male voice, but it was like kind of a dream sequency kind of thing.
Whoa.
But again, it wasn't as defined as this is him talking. Like,
Okay.
so it was. People don't even really know. Again, people don't really know about it because it
Yeah.
wasn't part of the main show. It was kind of an offshoot thing, but it was legit. But it's funny to see people get so worked up over it all.
You gotta love the fanatics.
I love
Like,
it.
Even when they want to just stand in their wrongness of like, it's awful. You don't like it, but awful
Yeah.
is subjective.
It has to be really good to work. I mean, that's going to be the trick of that.
Yes.
That
Yeah, that's a good
whole
point.
movie. I mean, I'm rooting for it, but I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't.
You're like, I don't want to be that one. Actually, speaking of that, you kind of touched upon something. Has it happened often, and how does it feel when you've been doing a project for a while, or a movie and they have a sequel, or a series and they have a sequel, but it gets recasted because it's a different company?
Yeah.
How often has that happened, and how does that feel?
It's happened where I have, been replaced, and it's happened where I've replaced people. And I think when I was younger, it bummed me out more, and I'm sort of used to it now. Like, until it airs with my voice, I am not convinced that I have that job. And I mean, for the most part, I'm a pessimistic, angry person, but no. I think this business teaches you pretty quickly that there's a lot of promises and things that are going to happen until I'm working or until I have I don't believe anything's real. But it is a shame when it happens because you have some attachment. Like, Build-A-Bear was really nice, and they sent me the Bulbasaur plushie, but it's someone else's voice in there, which is fine. And it's still it sounds good. Like, again, I'm not gonna be like angry and judgy, but it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But it's what happened. So what happened was after I believe it was 8 seasons of Pokemon. The company got bought. It was nothing personal. They just we weren't able to work on it, and I'm not angry at anyone who took the job. It's just a big bummer, and or someone's not available. I had to do something recently, NDAs. I can't talk about it, but where someone wasn't available for a video game.
Sure.
And I did as well as I could to match her voice, and it is what it is. It's weird because on camera it's a much bigger deal when that happens.
Yeah.
And in voiceover, people let it slide. I mean, a little bit more. I don't want to upset anybody. Like, that's what's weird too, is like sometimes they'll like write to you and be like, why are you taking I'm like, look, dude, I
took the job. I think it's kind of petty to receive it. Like, I, especially in this industry, like sometimes you didn't get picked, and it like you have to get over that pretty fast, or you're not gonna last long. It just happens too frequently. I want to know what you guys think about this Pikachu video because it's maybe my favorite thing on the internet.
You little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, man.
It's just there's a longer version which
See,
I
now that's
strongly
pretty funny.
encourage people to go
That
out
is
and
okay.
check.
It's
See,
just
I
that
would watch
dramatic
that.
moment where you're like, no. Okay, I do have a quick question. What has been the weirdest question somebody's asked you at a convention? Because those people there's all kinds of people, and I go to conventions too, so I'm one of those people too. But
Oh, gosh,
they can be like,
I want to think of a really good. I feel like I'm gonna in like 2 hours. I'm gonna think of a really great
can
answer.
tweet it.
I'll tweet it. No, I mean I definitely get asked. I mean, anytime they ask about like money, or like
that's
yeah, people like
awkward.
you do get. I mean, once I did when I was in New Zealand, I did say that I was looking for a husband because I wanted to live there. So I did get one proposal, which was. I mean, look. I didn't have time to stay and get to know the guy, but I was like, I would like to be able to live here. It's beautiful. I didn't think anyone was gonna. I thought they knew I was kidding. But yeah, we do get where a lot of this stuff is really like detailed questions, and like episode 5 when you said this, and look, I get it. There's shows that I would want to know things like that about, but I don't know the answers.
True.
For the most part.
yep.
Yeah, like I got asked today on Twitter if a character who played a certain character in a show, and I said I honestly don't know.
IMDb is free and available to everybody.
Well, yeah, it's just it's not always on there. So I said, "Oh, ask the director so and so," and they said he's not good at responding. I was like,
Oh,
"Well,
wow.
that
I
person's
don't know.
really vested in
Todd
the industry.
Havercorn, maybe you should be better at responding." So I was like, "I don't know."
Tara, thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us. This
thank
is
you
you.
guys. This was so much fun.
great. You guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And my name is Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KaridLane.
You want to run one more time where they can find me, Tara?
Hi, Tara Sands, LA,
Twitter, find
Nice,
her.
easy.
Instagram,
She'll
whatever.
answer your questions even if she doesn't know the answer.
I will make something up.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you guys next week right here at Animation Weekly at AfterBuzz TV.
Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.